All right, I got another one for you guys. This is going to be all about Palworld. Kind of talk about the successes of it and why it was so popular or is so popular, and kind of talk a little bit about the game and a few of the things that I've seen, and also dispel a couple of myths, just to kind of clear the air on that. So the first thing is, what is Palworld? I would say that it is Elden Ring mixed with survival crafting and Pokemon. So basically, you've got a very Elden Ring esque open world environment. They have world bosses, they have dungeons, they have basically a very similar approach to things as Elden Ring took. But then on top of that, you have the survival mechanics, you have the crafting, the building, and then you have capturing the pals, kind of this Pokemon esque mechanic to it as well. So it's an interesting mix of different things that are very popular with gamers, and it's kind of all rolled into one. So I mean, I think that has 99% to do with how popular this game really was, or really is. And those boss fights are very reminiscent of Elden Ring world bosses, Elden Ring regular bosses. Just the mechanics involved in there's kind of it's like a watered down version. You can see I'm trying to figure out how to punch that rock, which is not working. Yeah, so this is basically just early footage of me playing the game, trying to figure things out, which is another interesting thing is it's a lot of self-discovery and trial and error and trying to figure things out. And like it does lend itself very well to experimentation and figuring out, oh, well, that you can't punch that rock, but there's other rocks you can punch, that kind of thing. And then obviously unlocking fast travel and like it takes you step by step. It doesn't really hold your hand. So it makes you try and figure things out on your own. And it does a very good job of that. But also, if you get stuck on something, there is a very good series of like online articles out there to look things up as well. So if you really got stuck on something, you could find out online. But I haven't had to do that very much at all. Most of what I've discovered is just kind of going through the game and playing it. And just kind of figuring things out on my own. And it's really kind of nice. It's refreshing to not have like all these hand-holding tutorials telling you every step along the way. It's more just, experiment in the world and see where things go. The other thing I wanted to say is the crafting and the leveling in this game is very, very good. It's a good balance. You really get that itch to like get that next piece of gear, get that next level for one of your pals. To try and push to that next level of competence in your gameplay and figure things out. And you can see I'm going through the pal deck here and kind of getting the right pals for the right situations, and all of that stuff is very very well thought out, very well balanced, and it's very satisfying when you get those next levels or that next piece of gear. So I mean that's a very good blend there to keep people coming back for more. And it's a good gameplay loop too, because by the time you get that next piece of gear, now you're already thinking about the piece of gear above that, like what else can I do? And yeah, they did a very good job balancing that out. So I mean, all of those factors really contribute to exactly why it was so popular, why it's getting the numbers that it's getting and the sales that it's got. The other thing I wanted to actually talk about a little bit before I dive into the myths, or the one myth that I'm going to dispel, is talking about like the sales and the player statistics, because I keep saying it's popular and it's I don't have anything to back it up. So yeah, just to give you an idea, Palworld did phenomenally well as far as player counts go. I mean, the peak was over 2 million players, and that was the 28th of January, and it has maintained a fairly good, 1.3 million, and even recently, like just under 1 million. That's good, solid numbers of people playing this game and coming back for more. And you can see like the day-night cycle. I mean, you got peaks and valleys, but it's consistent, and it kind of keeps people engaged, and that's a good thing to see. Obviously, the Steam Game Hub followers. From the release date, that number just ballooned, and it still seems to be going up. So I think you're going to continue to see people buying this and playing this for longer than a lot of other games that are out there now, or even came out in the past year. I mean, if you look at like, well, let's go ahead and do it. Let's look at Elden Ring, because I keep comparing it to Elden Ring. And if you look at let's go to charts. If you look at the player statistics for Elden Ring, in the beginning at least, they were. Oh, come on now. There we go. Yeah. So they were not even half of the peak of Palworld, 953,000 players. And Elden Ring was like one of the most popular games of that year. Yet, Palworld is just knocking it out of the park here. I mean, and a combination of that, I would have to say, is also the fact that this is a very cheap game. I mean, currently it's priced at I think it's just under $30, and early access or when it was early release, in that first period of time, it was like 26. It was on sale for like 10% off. So I mean, yeah, it was very cheap to get into. It was an inexpensive purchase as compared to some of these AAA games, and I think that's why you're seeing these huge numbers, is because $25, I mean, $25-$30 ain't that bad. It's worth looking into just to see if it's worth playing, and people get into it and they like it and they continue to play it, obviously, because look at the player numbers. And obviously the sales also kind of bear that out. Now sales aren't precise like player statistics. I mean, the best I've seen is Steam Spy. So you can see here, current owners are between 20 and 50 million. So even if you take that lower number, that is a fair amount of money. I mean, if you take that lower number, you're looking at, 20 million sales at $26. And then, Steam takes their 30% cut. So you're still looking at $360 million that the studio made. And that brings me to the last thing, which is that there's a lot of people saying, oh, it only cost $10,000 to make, and this, that, and the other thing. And it was not that cheap to make. It is squarely, I would say, in AA studio territory. And in fact, you can see right here, there's an article, Palworld cost 1 billion yen to make, had zero budgeting, and 1 billion yen roughly equates to $6.75 million. So it's not your $100, $200, $300 million big budget AAA studio game. It is more realistic. It's more in that AA territory, in that, that tier below AAA. It's not an indie title, in my opinion. If it was, it would be like, it would be heavy indie, like barely indie. So yeah, I don't consider this an indie title. I would say this is middle tier, that AA studio territory, which is great to see, because I mean, there's been a long time since we've seen any amount of success in the AA studios. We don't really have AA studios anymore, because the ones that we did have, they kind of saw some success and turned into AAA studios, and then their games kind of lost something in the translation, because they had all this money that they were throwing at these projects, and I don't think that does them any justice. I think at the end of the day, when you spend that amount of money, it spoils the game. And I think having a limited budget, having that drive to make it no matter what, which you can read this article. I mean, they were basically just determined, bound and determined to make this thing the way they wanted to make it. And they were going to spend what they needed to spend. But at the end of the day, yeah, it was not that expensive to make. 1 billion yen is completely reasonable in a AA studio. And obviously they had funding to do this, where a lot of indie developers would not have even close to that number to do their games. So yeah, I would say AA, and it's good to see, because AA is kind of where it's at. It has been in the past, and I think this, if this heralds a return to AA studios, I would be very happy to see that. I would be very, very happy to be a AA studio one day, but I'm okay being my solo indie self for the long term. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see AA studios coming back. It's good to see Palworld having success like this, and yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think this bodes well for the small guy. I think even indies can kind of take some lessons from this game, and I'd like to actually do a video on that. I think I will put something together on some of the lessons I've learned from Palworld and kind of translate that out to a video for you guys. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see, and Palworld has seen some incredible successes, and it's clear to see why that is. Simply because the gameplay is very engaging. It's in that crossroads of like three very popular genres. You know, the Elden Ring approach, the survival crafting MMO approach, or the survival crafting RPG approach, and then obviously the Pokemon aspect of it. I mean, that's quite a trio to roll together, and they did a very good job putting it all together, and making things balanced and timing things out the way that you would want to do to keep people engaged. And yeah, you can just see it in the result. So yeah, Palworld, great success, and lots of lessons to learn from indie developers like me. Hopefully the big guys are taking notes too, because you know, a lot of people could take some good lessons from this and apply them to their studios as well. But we'll see what happens. So that's all I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the vid. I'm still working on that gaming website. I still have the survey out there. So I'm going to put a link in the description, and if you want, take that survey. It's basically just to talk about, you know, who plays what and what kind of games you're interested in, how you discover them, and what you might be interested in terms of a website that does that for you. So yeah, take that survey if you have a chance, and I will talk to you guys later.